Welcome back, scholars. In this video, we move on to question 3 of the BBIT300, also cross-listed as BIT3201A Data Mining and Data Warehousing paper sat in April 2019. Question 3 is worth 20 marks and it is one of the optional questions, so you only attempt it alongside question 1 and one other. It is entirely about association rule mining, item sets, support, confidence, conviction, and the famous Apriori algorithm. There is also a fully worked example and a short theory part at the end. By the time we finish, you'll be able to define every K term, run Apriori by hand, generate L3, extract the rules, and explain multi-level mining. Let's begin. Here is the roadmap. Question 3 has 5 parts, 20 marks in total. Part A, 4 marks, asks you to explain 4 terms, item set, support, confidence, and conviction of a rule. Part B, 2 marks, asks you to explain the Apriori algorithm. Part C is the big one, 6 marks. You are given a small transaction dataset and you must run Apriori by hand to generate the L3 item set with minimum support of 2. Part D, 4 marks, builds on that data. You list the association rules with minimum confidence of 50%. And Part E, 4 marks, is theory again, 2 approaches for mining multi-level association rules, uniform minimum support and reduced minimum support. Parts C and D are computational, so pay close attention. They carry 10 of the 20 marks between them. Part A is worth 4 marks, 1 mark per term, so let's take them 2 at a time. First, an item set. An item set is simply a collection of 1 or more items that appear together in a transaction. We write it in curly braces. For example, the set containing A and C. A K item set is one that contains exactly K items, so A and C together is a 2-item set. The support count written sigma of an item set is the number of transactions in the data set that contain it. Now, support itself, the probability measure, is the fraction of transactions containing the item set. It is the support count divided by the total number of transactions, denoted N, so if item set C appears in 2 out of 4 transactions, its support is 2 divided by 4, which is 0.5 or 50%. Support tells us how popular an item set is, and we use it to filter. Any item set below the minimum support threshold is simply discarded. Now the 2 rule strength terms. Confidence measures how often the rule is held true. It is the conditional probability of B given A formally. The confidence of the rule A implies B equals the support of A and B together, divided by the support of A. If A and B co-occur in 2 transactions and A appears in 2, then every time A occurs, B also occurs, so the confidence is 2 over 2, which is 100%. Now conviction. Conviction is the trickiest of the 4, but it measures how much the rule depends on the consequent. It compares the rule A implies B against the case where A and B are completely independent. The formula is 1 minus support of B divided by 1 minus confidence of the rule. A conviction of 1 means A and B are independent. The rule carries no information. A high conviction means the rule is strongly dependent. Break the rule and reality suffers. Conviction of infinity means the rule never fails. Part B, 2 marks, explain the Apriori algorithm. Apriori is the classic level-wise algorithm for mining frequent item sets, proposed by Agrol and Srikant in 1994. The name comes from the Apriori property, also called the downward closure property. If an item set is frequent, then every one of its subsets must also be frequent. The contrapositive is the key to its efficiency. If any subset is infrequent, the item set itself cannot be frequent, so we never even count it. The algorithm runs in passes. Pass 1 scans the database once to find all frequent 1 item sets, called L1. Pass 2 uses L1 to generate candidate 2 item sets, counts their support, and keeps the frequent ones as L2. This continues, each level generating candidates from the previous level's frequent item sets, pruning by the subset property, and counting only what survives. The algorithm stops when no more frequent item sets can be found. From those frequent item sets, we then generate the association rules. Now the worked example, Part C, 6 marks. Here is the data. 4 transactions. Transaction 1 contains A, C, D. Transaction 2 contains B, C, E. Transaction 3 contains a B, C, E, and Transaction 4 contains B and E. Minimum support is 2 transactions, so N equals 4 and we need an item set to appear in at least 2 of the 4. Let's run Apriori. Pass 1, scan every transaction and count each item. A appears in 2 transactions, B in 3, C in 3, D in only 1, and E in 3. Drop D since 1 is below the threshold of 2. That leaves the frequent 1 item sets L1, A with support 2, B with support 3, C with support 3, and E with support 3. Now pass 2, generate candidate pairs from L1 and count each one. A and C together appears in 2 transactions, B and C together in 2, B and E together in 3, and C and E together in 2. The pairs A, B, and A, E each appear in only 1 transaction, so they are pruned. That gives us L2 4 frequent pairs, a C with support 2, B C with support 2, B E with support 3, and C E with support 2. We are now ready to build L3. Pass 3 is where Apriori's pruning shines. From L2 we join the frequent pairs to build candidate triples, a BC, a CE, and BCE. Now apply the priori property before counting anything. For a BC to be frequent, every 2 subset must already be in L2. But a B is not in L2, it had support 1, so a BC is pruned immediately, no scan needed. Next, a CE, its subsets are a C, a E, and CE. A E is not in L2 either, so a CE is pruned as well. That leaves only BCE. All 3 of its 2 subsets, BC, BE, and CE, are in L2, so it survives pruning. Now we count it. BCE appears in transaction 2 and transaction 3, giving it support of 2, which meets the minimum. So the answer to part C, the L3 item set, is the single frequent 3-item set BCE with support count of 2. That is your final answer. L3 equals the set containing BCE. Part D, 4 marks. We generate rules only from the frequent item set we just found BCE because by the priori property only frequent item sets can produce valid rules. From a 3-item set we can partition it into an antecedent and a consequent in 6 ways, giving 6 candidate rules. For each one, confidence is the support of the full item set divided by the support of the antecedent, and we keep every rule at or above 50%. Here they are. Rule 1, B implies C and E, support of BCE is 2, support of B is 3, so confidence is 2/3, about 67% pass. Rule 2, C implies B and E, 2/3 again pass. Rule 3, E implies B and C, also 2/3 pass. Rule 4, B and C together imply E, 2/2 is 100% pass. Rule 5, B and E together imply C, 2/3 pass. Rule 6, C and E together imply B, 2/2 is 100% pass. All 6 rules clear the 50% bar, so all 6 are extracted. That is the complete answer for Part D. Final part, Part E, 4 marks. Describe 2 approaches for mining multi-level association rules. Multi-level mining is needed when items form a hierarchy. For example, computers break down into laptops and desktops, which break down further by brand. The challenge is that lower levels of the hierarchy have lower support counts, so a single uniform threshold does not work well. The first approach is uniform minimum support. Here you apply the same minimum support threshold at every level of the hierarchy. It is simple and easy to implement, and the rules are easy to compare because the bar is identical. But it has a serious drawback. Many genuinely interesting items at lower levels get pruned because their counts are naturally smaller, so you miss rare but valuable rules. The second approach is reduced minimum support. Here the threshold is lowered as you descend the hierarchy, stricter at the top, more lenient at the bottom. This catches the rare lower-level patterns that uniform support misses at the cost of more rules and a higher risk of spurious associations. In short, uniform is simple but blind at the bottom, reduced is sensitive but noisier. Let's lock in the takeaways. First, the 4 terms. An item set is a collection of items appearing together in a transaction. Support is the fraction of transactions containing an item set. Confidence is the conditional probability of the consequent given the antecedent. And conviction measures how strongly a rule depends on its consequent, with 1 meaning independence and infinity meaning a perfect rule. Second, Apriori is the level-wise algorithm built on the priori property. Every subset of a frequent item set is frequent, so in frequent subsets let us prune candidates before counting. Third, for the worked example with minimum support of 2, the only L3 item set is BCE. With support count 2, both a BC and a CE were pruned because their A, B, and a E subsets were not in L2. Fourth, from BCE all 6 candidate rules clear the 50% confidence bar. 2 of them, BC implies E and CE implies B, are perfect at 100%. And fifth, multilevel mining uses either uniform support, simple but blind at lower levels, or reduced support, which is more sensitive but noisier. Memorize these 5 points and question 3 is fully covered. That wraps up the optional questions. Until next time, keep revising.